Welcome to the Knox Soccer Podcast, where we tell the soccer stories of our favorite big town, little city, Knoxville, Tennessee, and around the world. I'm Patrick Teasdale.
And I'm Brian Canever. I am so excited for our returning guest, Tim Vacek, leader of the Scruffs, chairperson of the board of the Scruffs, capo, skipper, big dog, commander-in-chief of the official One Knoxville's supporter group. We are recording Wednesday evening, about 24 hours since One Knoxville got a big 2-1 win against Central Valley Fuego right here in town. We are already safely into the playoffs after clinching a spot with Danny Fernandez's stoppage time header against Chattanooga a little over a week ago. Tim was there last night for the game against the Fuego. Saw some wonderful goals. I think there was also hail at some point. Tim, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good because we picked up 3 massive points last night, and you said 24 hours later, I have finally dried out and I'm finally warm from the stoppage time rain and hailstorm that came absolutely out of nowhere. Right, I couldn't believe the referee did not just blow for the full time whistle as soon as the hail started. But he was going to have those 5 minutes of stoppage time. No matter what. It was wild. I even talked to a couple of players after the game, and a couple of them were messaging me today saying like they didn't ever really fit in an environment like that before, with the hail coming down on the pitch and the match still being played. It was wild. It was a fun night, and I know we're going to get into this and talk about the prospects of more home games, but we hope that was not our last home game at Regal Soccer Stadium. But if it was, man, what a send-off for that stadium.
Man, it's been quite the season. We had Tim on right at the beginning, right after the opening win against Charlotte Independence. It was a 2-1 away win. And the amazing thing about the soccer calendar here in the U.S. is that you basically start when it's beautiful and it's springtime. And then for the entire middle part of the season, it's like a slog through 90-plus degree heat and humidity. And then it gets cold at the very end. What's it been like experiencing those weather changes firsthand for your voice, being the man with the megaphone and leading the chants and just being there?
It's funny you say that, because last night we're staying at the tailgate and Jacob, who's the other song leader with me at the front of the supporter section, he said, it feels like it's the first game of the season. And I said, yeah, because it's cold again. It was cold the first game of the season. It's cold again. That's why it feels like the first one. But yeah, you're right. I did actually notice that with my voice last night. I feel like by the time mid-season, I'm in pretty good shape, and I don't struggle as much with losing my voice. Even though I'm a teacher, and so I'm several months into the school year, so I've gotten kind of those early August, hoarse moments out of my voice, and thought that I was in good shape. But man, last night, that cold weather, I was feeling it. Even from the March end, I was like, it's going to be a long night in terms of making it through.
Yeah, man, that is really something. Although I'm sure you had plenty to cheer for when you consider that. I think Rodolfo Castro's, his goal in the 75th minute, I saw it was making the rounds on Twitter and on Instagram this morning. Holy smokes, he ripped that one. That's got to be a goal of the week contender for sure.
For me, it's goal of the season. I've always, I guess, believed in recency bias. The nice thing about getting old is you kind of blame it on the fact that, well, it's the one I remember, because I don't remember much about what happened more than 48 hours ago. But if we've scored some great goals this year, but if we've scored a better one than that one, I can't remember it off my head. You can't catch it any more cleanly than he did. So what a way to win a match. I'll admit that we started turning to one another probably around the 70th minute, thinking, okay, it needs to come, because the longer in a match like that, where you're the favorites and you need the 3 points and you're at home and it stays level at 1-1, closer you tick toward 90, the more that it starts to get a little bit nervy. So to get that there in the 75th minute, that was a moment I'll never forget. Just such an unbelievable goal, and some great celebrations in the supporter section.
Man, that is wonderful. And I mean, You mentioned goal of the season. We are at the tail end of the season. It's crazy that it seems like we've arrived here so quickly, even though it's been, since March. It's been about 6 months. We are entering into squeaky bum time, right when there is no more opportunity to screw up, because we've got 2 games left, 2 huge games against Forward Madison this Saturday away, Spokane Velocity also the weekend after that. So we've got 2 final away games. And this year, for the first time, we will have 8 teams in the playoffs. Last year, there were 6 teams. One Knoxville missed out by 2 places. We finished 8th. This time, 4 quarterfinals. They're going to be played the weekend of November 2nd, which, believe it or not, is like 2.5 weeks from now. Then the semis are going to be played on November 16th. Currently, One Knox is on 33 points. That's just 1 point behind the Greenville Triumph in 4th place. So that means we just have 1 point to make up if we want to have a shot at hosting things. Tim, how are you preparing for playoffs? Can you even prepare knowing that there's like literally a 50-50 chance that we host or not host? What's going on in your mind?
I mean, you just kind of have to prepare for anything. It's the question of, are we going to get Regal here in a couple of weeks, or do we need to make hotel reservations in Greenville or somewhere else for an away game? And right now, we believe in the boys, and they obviously have a really nice second half to the season, and we're really optimistic about what they have the opportunity to do in Madison and Spokane. And if we can get 6 points from those 2 matches, which I recognize is a big task, to win back-to-back away matches in this league is not something that happens very often for any team. But we believe they can get it done, and man, that would just be incredible for us to be able to host. This changes everything, and I think you saw this back in the USL2 season with, once we got into the playoffs, and what this town's going to rally around a team that's going to make a playoff run. And as great as some of the atmospheres have been, Regal Soccer Stadium, those atmospheres at West High School when we were winning playoff games over there were pretty special. And Knoxville loves to watch one of its teams go win in the playoffs. And oh man, that would be really cool. And you mentioned, as we get to the tail end of the season, it's super cool, and everything is kind of leveling out the way that this league works, because you've got teams that are sharing the stadium with another team. As we're going to be the case for us next year, if we share the new stadium with the Smokies, and obviously One Knox wants to try to schedule around the Tennessee football schedule and not compete with Tennessee football. You can end up where one team has potentially played 3 games more than another. And so you're looking at the table. It's hard to really judge exactly where teams are, but you look at the 12 teams in the table right now, and all 12 of them have played 20 matches. So you really know what's there. There's very little guessing in terms of what you need to do. You go win these 2 matches, you host. You drop points, there's a pretty good chance you don't. So it's all there for them, and it'll be really exciting to watch these last 2 matches against 2 really good teams, two teams who are going to be with us in the playoffs.
Yeah, it has been a lot tighter of a race this year than it was last year. Last year, Union Omaha just kind of ran away with it. Northern Colorado Hailstorm also had a great season. This year, both those teams are in the top 3, but there are really only, 9 points separating One Knox from Union Omaha in first place. Possibly, depending on what happens with Forward Madison, we could even get up as high as second place. They're on 38 points right now. It's been tight like this entire season. There's been very little, to separate those top teams. If you were to pull up the table, which we'll link to in the episode, you kind of have this tight race between 1 and 6th. And then in the 7th and 8th spots, Spokane Velocity with 26 points and Richmond Kickers with 21. It looks like what do you call them again, those Chattanooga Red Wolves? Tim, you Scruffs have a term for them.
What do you call them? Eastridge, because the Chattanooga club is CFC. That's Chattanooga Football Club, and they're not the Chattanooga club. They're in Eastridge, so we just call them Eastridge.
Yeah, well, those East Ridgers, they're down in 10th place, but even they have a chance of making it into the playoffs still, so it's still a pretty open race. One Knox is right there, 9, 6, 2-5 this season. When you look at some of the other teams that are right there in the mix, we've mentioned Union Omaha in first, Forward Madison in second, the Hailstorm in third, Greenville right there in fourth, and then right behind us we've got the Charlotte Independence, Spokane, Richmond. How do you feel about that kind of playoff look with the possibility of either hosting or going away to Greenville or Charlotte?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've won in Charlotte already this year with the very first match of the season, and that was such a great way to start the season. And Greenville rivalry has not been quite as kind to us this year. I think the guys would love another shot at playing them. There's so much parity in this league. You are right that Union Omaha has distanced themselves a little bit. Ford Piston can technically still kill. That would really surprise me. I think Union Omaha pretty much has that seed locked down, and really outside of them, anybody is beating anybody on any given night, and that really includes Union Omaha. We've seen some results over the past couple of weeks where some of those teams down at the bottom of the table, give all credit to Central Valley and the way that they came there and played with us last night. That's a team that, yes, mathematically they could still make the playoffs, but let's face it, that team's not going to get enough points to get into the playoffs. They had very little to play for last night, and they brought it. And they played us, obviously right to the end, and in the middle of that hailstorm at the 5th minute of stoppage time, which was how much the referee had allotted. They had a corner right there at the very end of the match where they had a chance to equalize late. So there's so much parity in this league, and because of that, you just never know. And I do think that's one of the reasons why getting home field advantage will be so important for us. But I feel really good about us going in and playing really any team that we could see. I think even about that trip to Omaha. I guess that was back a couple of months ago. There's no reason why this team with this talent and the way they're playing right now and creating some chances, there's no reason why they couldn't go to Omaha and get a win.
Yeah, I think fans have seen a team that has been resilient and tough, very hard to beat, especially when you consider there was a huge change in the middle of this season with the club's first ever head coach, a guy that you and I knew well, who we followed along with that very first season in USL 2 last year. And then, up until just past the halfway point this year, Mark McKeever, he departed. And in his place, Ilya Illich, McKeever's former player, a one Knoxville player last season, and in his first season as an assistant coach, gets elevated to interim head coach. He's supported by Nick Jaramillo, who's also been there. He was here last year. He's here the year before that. Since Illich came on as the coach for this team, they've gone 4-4-1. That's 4 wins, 4 draws, only 1 loss. That includes the biggest win of the season, and that was their first home match after Ilya Illich came on. That was against the Red Wolves, so it's like the rivalry. We scored 4 goals. How did you experience that match? I'm assuming it was tense. It was emotional. For some people, it might have even been like, nerve-wracking. How did you experience Ilya coming on, getting elevated, getting the opportunity to coach, and then, having obviously that performance against Red Wolves?
Well, I mean, it's been really incredible because as you talked about in terms of his journey, the fact that he was, wearing the captain's armband this time a year ago as they went out. We really are close to about a year ago today. We were playing our final match of the season out in Raleigh to play North Carolina last year. And so to think about his journey and where he is and the record that One Knox absentee has taken over and the way that we played, it's been really incredible. And I'm so happy for him. We obviously, as the Scruffs, got to know him as a player last year and have continued to build that relationship with him over the course of this year. And you're right, that moment against Red Wolves was special and incredible. But I guess I'd rather talk about the moment in Lexington when we spoiled the opening of their brand new stadium. And that Rich Ballard goal with 10 men, as we unfortunately Ange would set off with a questionable red card there in the first half, and to go to Lexington and spoiled the opening of their new stadium with a 1-0 win was really cool. And I know that was a great moment for Ilya. And as a player last year, obviously he was, and as the kid said, he was one of the first ones to come over and to loot up at the end of matches. And he's very much, as their coach this year, wanted that to be for the players and wanted that to be their, the moment that they've had, as opposed to putting the attention on him. He is a really humble guy. And I know he doesn't want the spotlight on himself. But at the end of that match, after the players came over and celebrated with the traveling fans, we started chanting, "We want Ilya." And he had that big grin on his face, and he ran over and shook all our hands and gave us a big hug. And it was clear that was a really special moment for him to get such a huge away win like that. And it's just been great and really rewarding to watch his growth and to see him have the success that he's had, because it has been tremendous, and long may it continue.
And a little bit of a different personality, I think, from McKeever, who we were used to seeing up and, really vocal, really active. I haven't been able to make as many games this season, which feels weird. I was the commentator the first season. I was the PA last season. This time I've been hanging out with my 3 kids, trying to get them to bed at a reasonable hour and then popping the game on ESPN+. And you don't see Ilya as, up and down as much. You don't see him yelling. He's kind of, very composed personality. And I don't know if it's because of the relatability with his teammates. Literally, many of them were his teammates last year.
Right.
Or the team coming around and just being like, hey, we got to do this for him. He's one of us. There's a lot of pressure on him. But it's been really fun to watch, almost to the point where I imagine there's other One Knox fans who are like, could this be his spot through the end of the season? Could we see Ilya take on a bigger role? And maybe that decision to hire a new head coach postponed. I don't know. I really like Ilya. Tim, how have the Scruffs, been relating to him, and has there been communication or any other kind of relational stuff that maybe we're not seeing that those closest to the club are seeing?
No, I don't think so. Like I said, I think with his personality and you're right, he is a bit has a calmer demeanor on the sideline from what some managers would have, and I think that continues off the pitch as well, because he is so modest and he wants the attention, he wants the focus to be on the players, and that doesn't really, really surprise me, based on what we saw from him last year as the captain. And certainly, if Jordan Skelton is listening to this, I know he won't take it as criticism. But certainly, his personality and Ilya's personality, they're very, very different. And so, thinking about the two of them and wearing the captain's armband last year, where Ilya was going to be that kind of very calming, just understated, present, and then Jordan is personality, big, yelling and encouraging, very positive, but very much very, very animated. So, and I love that we've continued that this year, and that, you've got Ilya as the one who is that kind of the calling voice and calling presence there on the touchline. And maybe part of that is because he knows he's got his big center back there who's going to be directing traffic for him and constantly barking out the orders that need to happen, and giving that vocal encouragement, because he is just so positive as a leader out there, and it's cool to kind of watch their two leadership personalities that I think they mesh really well together, and I think that's another reason we've seen some really nice success this year.
Yeah. So speaking of performances, just getting to raw numbers, in terms of wins, losses, and goals, we ended the 2023 season in 8th place out of 12 teams. Our record was 9 wins, 11 draws, 12 losses. We had the joint lowest goal scored in the league. This year, we had the same amount of wins, 9 wins, 6 draws, 5 losses in the league. So that's -7 losses in the league. We also went 4-2-2 in the Jägermeister Cup, in which only one team was allowed to advance out of the group, and we just fell short in our group. But when you add those up, we're 13-8-7, 13 wins, 8 draws, 7 losses. We're still struggling for goals. We're tied for the lowest in the league with 23 goals. but we also have the lowest amount of goals allowed, 16 goals in the league, and that is a testament to the work back there by, safe hands Sean Lewis, the man on the KUB Fiber billboard on Route 40, the safest pair of hands in the 865, and then obviously Jordan Skelton, Danny Fernandez, Jalen Chrysler. I think he decided he wanted his name pronounced differently last season, so I was told Chrysler, but I think it's Chrysler. What's it looked like from the stands for you? Have you noticed a difference between the team last year and how they performed and their style, and this year, second year in the league, second year in this stadium on this grass, some new personnel that's really been important, like Kempes Tequila and City Haugley. For you being there every single home game, have you observed the difference?
Yeah, I think there's more dynamism this year. I know that he's talking to the guys, and they're going to say they like the 12, and the numbers look relatively similar to last year. But to me, the attack does look far more threatening this year. I think there has been evolution, there has been development, and you mentioned a couple of those pieces. Obviously, having a reliable, consistent striker like Kempes, and it's certainly, so there's no knock on any of the guys that were here last year, but Kempes has just been, he's taken us up a notch at that position, and there's been a lot of really good competition there with Schutte and being another striker, and then of course the guy that we talked about is scored potentially the goal of the season last night in Rodolfo Castro Jr. and what a versatile weapon that he has become since his mid-season signing last year, because he is comfortable playing in the number 9, but he's also just as comfortable being out wide and taking his chances, his opportunities out there. I think also, Frank last year maybe had a little bit of the injury bug, and so I think Frank Ross being more consistently healthy this year, that made a huge difference in terms of the threat to our attack. And then the addition of Stavros here mid-season in 2024, and I'll admit I haven't confirmed this. I was asking last night when the team sheet came out, and I saw that both Frank and Stavros were in the 11. And my question was that the first time that we've seen the two of them on the pitch at the same time? And I think it might be. And so, gosh, in terms of having just those really dynamic wingers, I don't know that there's a pair of them in USL League One, more dynamic, more creative. Two guys who want to go 1v1 and triple their man, want to take on their defender. That's pretty special to have those two guys. And there obviously have been some moments where the goals haven't come, as you mentioned, a Red Wolves match earlier in the season where we were able to score, I guess, a club record 4 goals in our professional history, and we did score 2 goals last night. But the goals are I'm still convinced are coming. And I think that the attack has evolved and looks more and more threatening, and it has been fun to watch that. And as you mentioned, my goodness, I mean, the defense back line has been absolutely rock solid, maybe even more solid than it was last year, which is pretty impressive to say, considering just how good it was last year.
I mean, when you look at the numbers, obviously you have Kempes come in, leading the team in the league with 9 goals, also has 2 assists. And then behind him, the next, I think, closest is Angelo Kelly with 3 goals. So he's really been responsible for the ball getting into the back of the net. But just in terms of contributions, I was looking at the appearances list today. We've played 20 league games. Callum Johnson, who was here last season, has started all 20 games. Sivert Haugley has played in all 20 games. He came on as a sub in one of them. Stuart Ritchie, 19 games. Kempes has been, 18 of the 20. Angelo Kelly, 18. So in that, top 5 or 6 players in terms of minutes, you have 3 new players, Kempes, Stuart Ritchie, and Haugley, who have come in and contributed. But you also have, this Callum Johnson. I feel like he's come alive this year, and had a really great season so far. Like you mentioned, Frank Ross has come in and contributed a lot. I know that because of your position with the Scruffs, you guys interact with the players a lot. You've been able to build some some relationships with them. I was looking on Instagram earlier today, and the players are picking out which of their favorite songs to hear from the Scruffs. Some of the players get excited when they hear their songs being sung. Who are some of the guys that you guys have had some real fun getting to know better, or writing songs for throughout the season?
First, I'm glad I would have backed up to you talking about Callum, because I think that's an opportunity for us to talk about a guy who I don't think gets enough credit. You mentioned him leading the team this year in appearances. He's actually the club's leader in appearances professionally, and that is somebody who we talk so much about the defense, and rightfully so. And then obviously because we're human and we like to see the ball go into the back of the net, we're going to talk about the goal scorers. And so I think Callum sometimes gets overlooked, and man, what a shame that is, because there has been nobody who's been more consistently reliable in the midfield than Callum Johnson has been. He is so composed, so calm in the way that he plays. And you just always feel when he's got the ball at his feet, you just always know he's going to make the right decision. You always feel good about where he's going to play the pass. If the intent is on, he's going to play it and he's going to put it where it needs to be. But if it's not, he's going to play the smart. He's going to swear it, or he's going to play it back to his captain and let his captain reset. And every decision that he makes is the right one. So we've been very lucky to have Callum here. And in terms of guys that we've gotten close to, he's definitely one of them. He's a really personable guy. He's very soft spoken, but also really, really engaging and personable, and incredibly kind and warm. And we really enjoyed getting to know him. And I talked earlier about Jordan's big personality, and so anytime you get to have a conversation with him, it's always entertaining. And I was able to film the video of asking the guys to sing their favorite Scruff song back at training a couple of weeks ago, and I never know what Jordan's going to do when that question is out there, and he did not disappoint once again. If you had a chance to see that video, go and watch to listen to Jordan sing, and then to listen to him tease Kempis Tequila as Kempis is coming out onto the training pitch as well. But yeah, Brian, there are just so many great personalities that are in this team, and we've obviously, the returners, we've gotten to know even better. And having Jamesy and Danny having been here for 3 years, we one of the things that Jacob, my fellow song leader, is known for doing in the stands is anytime that one of our players gets fouled, he yells out, "Don't touch my brother." And with Jamesy and Danny, us having known them for 3 years, and we really do feel like there are, brothers now. They're both such great guys, and they've been so kind and wanted to give back so much to us, and that's been highly appreciated. In terms of some of the new guys this year, I'm afraid if I start naming too many, that I'm going to leave somebody out. But I know that having Joe on here, he's been such a welcome addition, and he's just fit right in. I think from a personality standpoint, I don't actually know. It's a question that you'd need to ask a couple of the other players. I don't know how many prior relationships he had with guys in the squad prior to this year. And I could be speaking out of turn here, but I don't know that it was that many. But Ben, you would know it based on the way that he seems to fit right into the personalities and the chemistry in the dressing room. And I think he's been a really welcome addition. So it's a great group of guys, and it's definitely one of the reasons why, as the Scruffs, we love doing what we do, because we love the sport, and we want the club to grow. But we also just so appreciate that the guys that we're cheering on, that we get to know as people first, and we care about them as people first, and as soccer players second.
That's awesome, man. You all have been very busy this season. So, when you remove all the tailgates and the different, game-related events, the watch parties, the road trips, all the support that you've had for local businesses, and you had the pink out that you all did against Forward Madison, and the stuffed animal collection to support the East Tennessee Children's Hospital. You led the first ever Scruffy City Cup video game tournament, which I still call FIFA, but I know it's FC 24 now because they don't have the licensing anymore. And I believe Kempis was the champion. I think you awarded him the trophy at Alliance Brewing.
He wasn't just the champion. He annihilated the field. There was no competition. It was more or less us just rolling out the red carpet for Kempis to just storm his way to this title. He is. You think he's good on the pitch? He is. I think maybe even better when he's got a console controller in his hand. He is unbeatable.
Video, it's like mental training. That's what I used to say all the time. Like, I learned a lot of my, tactics, formations, all that stuff as a coach from just playing a lot of FIFA when I was in high school and college. So I guess it's showing. You also did a drive for the Knox Pride Center, collecting hygiene products for them. You participated yourself in a really powerful, emotional video for World Mental Health Day, which the club shared. Of all these things that the Scruffs have done, have you had a favorite activity that you've been involved with, or one that just felt really meaningful for you when you look back on the season?
I think, as you mentioned, there are so many there, and the FIFA tournament was certainly the most fun, you could say, in terms of the events that we put on. But I think probably the Youth Club Scholarship drive that we did was the most rewarding. We had so many people who came and played a major role in that, and having managing partner Drew McKenna come out and join and run in the marathon relay with us, and having Owen Markman as one of our younger Scruffs participate in a relay with us as well, and having so many folks being willing to donate money, and getting, Jordan came on board and narrated a video for me that I edited to try to promote the event. And just watching everybody kind of rally around it. I know you guys listened to the last time that I was on the pod as well, because we can both speak to this, and as soccer dads, just how expensive this process is. And we know that for a lot of families, man, it's hard, and that's not fair. And we need to do everything that we can to make it where any kid who wants to play and play the game. And so that was really rewarding, and hope that we can keep that momentum going. I really don't want that fundraiser to be just a one-off. I want it to be something that we continue and we grow. We raised more than $4,000 our first year, and I'm hoping that we can top that number when we start it back up in 2025. We did it in 24, we hit 4,000. So why not in 25? Why not today?
Yeah, I forget. It was Jennifer Vacek, Miss Vacek, who ran in the relay the first leg. Drew McKenna ran the second. You ran the third, and Owen ran the fourth. Who had the best time on the relay? Did you guys keep track of that?
Okay, well, keep in mind Owen had the shortest leg, but it wouldn't have mattered. Even if it was like Drew and myself and my wife running it, three of us, and then let Owen run the whole thing, I still think his split probably would have been better than ours. And that's just what a great athlete, what a great runner he is. But no, I don't want to get too much into the details of. We'll let Owen have his moment and say that he was tops. I think he wants also. His dad told me after the race that I think Owen wants my leg. I took the longest of the four. Yeah, they're people. I took the longest of the four, and I think Owen wants to take me next year. And if that's what he wants, then that's fine. And then I can say my time was probably faster than his if he takes the longest leg.
And then as part of that, Jamesy came and sang with you all, didn't he? Wasn't that part of it? You raised the $4,000, and then Jamesy was supposed to sing. Did that happen?
Yeah, that never quite panned out exactly. But we got Jamesy to sing Angela Kelly's song in the video that released this week. So it was all worth.
Jamesy Thomas, come on! I actually, we've taken a little bit of a longer break than usual from the podcast. I've been doing some work with the One Knox Collective, and I did an interview with Jamesy Thomas for a lot of the youth club players and coaches a few weeks ago. It was really fun. Just like you, I've known Jamesy for 3 years now. It's almost incredible to say it, that it's been that long. So I know Jamesy listens. So Jamesy, you owe them a song. I think was it? Mark McKeever used to have them sing songs to bond together on buses for road trips, and I want to say that his go-to song was Like a Virgin by Madonna. I don't really know, but I know Jamesy has a thing for karaoke. And then I wanted to ask about this too, because I don't know if they're still available. I love my Olive in New York Knox Scruffs jersey. It's my favorite jersey. I love that it says Scruffy City across the bottom. It feels like a more appropriate One Knoxville jersey than, the sponsored jerseys. Do you still have those jerseys available? What was the response like to having our own supporters club shirt?
Yeah, that was really cool because one, just working with Olive in New York, they're such a unique company, and they're so patient with you and so willing to make it work for you. We proposed an original idea, and then we gave them feedback back to them, and then it was just this back and forth over hey, folks, do this, and never once did they say, hey, we got to just quit already and accept the shirt the way that it is. No, they will really want for you to be perfectly happy with the shirt, and that was really cool to have all of our members kind of come together and express their thoughts on what the shirt should look like. So we don't have them. In fact, with Olive in New York, for the most part, the supporters groups never actually have the shirts themselves. You buy them directly from the website through a pre-order. So they are not currently available. However, if you're listening and you've been jealous of those that you've seen wearing the Scruffy City kit, if you email knoxscruffs@gmail.com, and I can basically tell Olive in New York that we have a bunch of folks who would like to buy more, then they will definitely do another round. Their bare minimum is 10. Basically, if I get 10 folks who want to buy a shirt, can just email Olive in New York, and they'll put those back up on the website available for pre-order, and you can get them there.
Yeah, and if you haven't caught sight of them, we'll throw a link in our show notes. I mean, it is an awesome jersey. I love to rock it around town. We could talk forever, Tim. So I'm gonna cut that longer portion of our interview and get to one of Patty's favorites. Patty could not join us today. He's got some family obligations, but he wrote out some end of season superlatives, some special Knox Soccer Podcast / Knox Scruffs awards for our team. Are you ready to assign some superlatives to our players?
I think what I'm ready for is to make some boneheaded mistake in the next few minutes, and then to get some sort of trash talking Instagram messages from players who are thrilled and or furious with the selections I'm about to make.
We are very hopeful that this would lead to some significant trolling behavior. So then you could go straight teacher mode and admonish them.
Bench fight. That's right.
Okay. We're going to start with the Sunsphere Award for MVP of the regular season so far. I know that you all actually have official Scruffs awards for this stuff that everybody gets to vote on. But if you had to assign the Sunsphere Award, the most valuable player so far this season, who do you got?
Okay, so last night we actually presented our Player of the Year award to Kempis Steele for the match for the Hillstorm. We presented the award to him, and incredibly deserving. He has been an absolutely outstanding man. God, I guess I'm going to announce this on the air. I'm going to say who voted for. 100%. Kempis deserved to win, and I'm really happy for him. Brian, I voted for Jordan Skelton as the team's most valuable player, as our Player of the Year. And I'm looking at those defensive numbers, and it was really hard to choose because that vote could have gone to Jalen Chrysler, it could have gone to Danny Fernandez, it could have gone to Sean Lewis, it could have gone to any of those guys in the back line. And Jordan's the one wearing the armband, and he's the one who's coordinating the troops in the back. So that's who I voted for. So one, because Kempis got the attention last night, I'm gonna give a nod to Jordan today.
Hey, can't hate from one capo to another capo. Like it's mutual respect. So I think that makes a lot of sense to us. Now, what a lot of folks may not know is that for a few years, over a decade ago in 2013, 2014, I used to run a soccer blog called peachofagol.com. And it was in honor of a beautiful goal, the most beautiful goal I've ever seen scored on television. It was by James McFadden Scottish player against France in the Euro 2008 qualifiers, I believe. And that inspired me to start this blog. And so I still refer to our most beautiful goals as peaches. So if you had to give a peach of a goal award to the best goal of this season, which one do you got?
Well, I'm gonna go to Motor City for that one. That's gonna be our new boy Rich Ballard. Yes, I did just say Rodolfo Castro Jr.'s goal last night was probably our best goal of the season, but peach, that's really what we're going with. And I'm gonna go with Rich Ballard's goal against Lexington, just because of the significance of that moment. And it was just a spectacular goal. It won USL League One goal of the week that week. And in the stands, we had a pretty good crowd that made the trip to Lexington for that match. And when Stibby stepped into that pocket of space to receive, and I could see the run that Rich was making, I think I got up out of my seat thinking this is potentially that moment. And when Rich was able to bang that one in off the underside of the crossbar, it was what a moment. Never forget it.
That was a true beauty. We'll link to that one as well if we can get a hold of it on YouTube or on Twitter. This one, a little bit out of left field. We're calling it the Red Panda Award. This is the thing that you did not have on your bingo card, the thing that you could not have predicted in March, but you're kind of glad it happened. What was the out of ordinary, strange, unexpected, weird, and most awesome thing from this season?
Gosh, can I talk about the hail again? I feel like we spent half the episode talking about the hail.
I was guessing that you were going to bring up because we've, watched games under some rough conditions, cold, hot, rainy. But when you texted me hail last night, I was thinking you were making some kind of reference to the Northern Colorado hailstorm. And then you were like, no, real hail. We actually got hit by rocks from the sky.
Yeah, I think I have to go with that. And I did message with Jamesy and Sean O'Hearn today, and Sean he's never played in a situation like that before. So I'm gonna go with that one because I'll tell a quick story. I'm a Tottenham supporter. I'm talking to an Everton supporter, and we've got clubs that have this long-standing history. And one of the things I've always said that's really cool about what we're doing at One Knox is that we're the early stages of that history. And there's a coffee table book in our living room called The Lane. It's about the history of White Hart Lane, Tottenham Hotspur's historic stadium, and it has pictures that go all the way back to the 19th century. And anytime there's a big moment and we're sitting in the living room, my wife will point to that book and she'll say, that picture that Faith, the club photographer, that she took, like, it's going to be in this book one day for One Knoxville. And I think about like some of the moments that we've had, and that hail stoppage time moment is going to be one of those moments that's just kind of rooted in that early history of One Knoxville that we'll never forget. Will be those old fogies in the stands with once the club is 40 years into its existence. We'll still be talking about it. You remember that night at Regal Soccer Stadium when it was gone down hail, and I'm sure we will have exaggerated the story to people.
All the best stories are exaggerated for sure, but it is an incredible thing to think that most of the soccer teams that we love, most of the club teams that we love, outside of our domestic leagues, outside of the USL, MLS, they've been around for 100 and something years, right? Well over 100 years in most cases. I have a big Goodison Park flag right in front of me, and usually like the teams will include the year that they were founded on a lot of their materials. And for One Knoxville, I mean, it's 2022, the inaugural season. It feels so fresh. It feels so new. But like one day, our kids and grandkids will look back and we'll be historical figures. We'll be footnotes, in the story of the club. It's pretty incredible. All right. Another strange one. Best stash. Best mustache.
I mean, that's at the gimme, right? At the gimme. It has to go to our mullet and mustache, Mr. Stuart Brittany, an electric player out there on the left thing, and what a throwback. And he's been such a great addition to the squad this year. We've loved having him, and what a
Yeah, the young American. We got some goatees in the side. We've got some, Danny Fernandez has a little bit of the thin stuff, but nobody rocks it with as much pride as Stuart Ritchie. So that's great. I'm surprised if there was a best perm award. The perms are back. The mullets are back. The perms are back. Ami Robbie, he was director of operations. I think he has another title now. He's been rocking that perm. Loud and proud. That deserves an award of its own for sure. Okay, moving on. Best on-field bromance. Best bromantic move. We could call it the bromantic move of the season. This is in reference to the best link-up play, the best combination that you saw. Does any come to mind?
Yeah, I really kind of want to go back. I haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch the highlights from last night. I'm trying to think in terms of who played the ball in for Stavros on the first goal. I stated since Stavros has come, because he's kind of that classic inverted where he likes to drift inside, and he's really built a nice partnership with Kempis front. As you talked to Kempis about when you had him on the podcast last time, he's really moved around the pitch a lot, and he's obviously played. He's been locked in at that number 9 for us, but he's played in the 10 before. He's played in different positions. He's played. Reedy said on the podcast that he's even played in midfield before, and you see some of that. Some of the breakup play between the two of them has been really good. So I think that's probably what I'll go with. I've really enjoyed watching that in the second this season. The link-up play between Stavros and Kempis has been excellent.
And Stavros, what an addition, a mid-season addition, kind of came from nowhere. The Greek player, I can't even remember off the top of my head where he was playing previously, and comes basically into the 11 and has been critical, I think, down the back stretch of the regular season. You got to imagine what we might have looked like if we had started the season off with him. So that's a great one. So the best bromance right there. We've seen a lot of this at Scruff tailgates, at Scruff activities. I think this is just a huge part of soccer in America and around the world. Patty's calling it the Beer Me, the Beer Me Prize, which is the player you would most like to have a mug of the sweet elixir with. Who would you like to grab a beer with?
That's a good one. God, see, this is the one where like somebody is going to send me a message upset that I did not choose them. This probably won't surprise you because of a comment I made earlier. Because he's obviously, like I said, fit into the squad really well. A great guy. He went a good way. We did when the club did a fundraiser and drive for new and lightly used sporting equipment, and I tried to promote that on our social media and try to drum up a lot of interest for our folks to try to really get good amount of collections for the club. And before he went into the stadium, he went out of his way to come to our tailgate and bring a bunch of his keeper gloves that he had barely used to donate to be his part of the contribution. So what a guy, great personality, and he's been new in the squad this year, and he has filled in brilliantly in Sean Lewis's absence the past few matches, and stay of the week in that 1-1 draw against Eastridge last week. So I'm going to say Johan Gerber.
All right, great. And then the final superlative, the playoff powerhouse. The player who is going to push us over the edge, get us through these final 2 away games, into the playoffs, hosting through the quarterfinals, through the semifinals, all the way the USL League One championship game. Who is going to be the powerhouse for One Knoxville?
That is...
This is another one that is going to get... Oh, I'm getting people mad at you. Every question is somebody that's going to be like, how dare you, Tim? How dare you?
I appreciate that. All right, I'm gonna mention somebody. Here's one way that I'm gonna try to make that not happen, but it's also a genuine answer. I'm gonna mention somebody that I haven't mentioned yet on the podcast tonight. And I'm gonna say, because really what we're talking about here is the X factor. somebody who is going to make that difference and have this just breakthrough collection of performances. And I think the guy who had been on the cusp of those and who I thought was absolutely fantastic for not even think he played the full 90 last night, and beating his man on the wing, playing in a position that he has not traditionally played in, and delivering great cross after great cross. And I think the assists are coming for Gio Calixto. So I'm going to say Gio is that player, because I think he has been really good in the second half of the season. I thought he was fantastic last night. And so I'm going to say Gio Calixto is going to be that X factor player who's going to make the difference for us in these last two away matches and get us that home field advantage in the first round.
Man, Gio Calixto and Rodolfo Castro both. I had them on around this time last season. We did a special Hispanic Heritage Month episode. We did it in Spanish, which was super fun for me. I don't get to speak Spanish a lot when I'm, in the one Knoxville world. And they both came in as center forwards, and Gio's played a lot on the wing. I mean, he has the makings of a winger. He can play all along the front line, but he's been contributing a lot and doing a lot of dirty work. Our wingers have to track back a lot. They have to do a lot of defensive work. And Rodolfo too, where I think you and I, when we saw him sign last season, we were like, oh, he's the number 9, right? Like he's going to go right up top. But, we had lost Hinga Selemani, Sebastian Andreas, and we were figuring out what that position was going to look like. And this year he's played off the 9 a lot. He's played out wide a lot. And so seeing the versatility of all of our players, but especially a guy like Gio, who's in his second season, has gotten more comfortable, is still also really young, obviously growing in his game, has been awesome. So that's who's going to push us over the edge. It's hard to choose. I don't envy your position here, and I'm glad that I'm on this side of the microphone because I think
this was going to be like a game where we were both doing this. This is just the spotlight all on me.
I'm an independent observer. I teach. I'm an adjunct professor of journalism at UT, and I teach my students all the time. Remove yourselves from the equation. Be an independent observer. That way, you never get in trouble for anything. You're like, I don't have anything to do with this. All right, Tim. That's all the stuff that I have for you. We've got a little bit of a break here, and so we, focus on some Premier League action on Saturday morning. Don't have to worry about, getting to a Scruffs game or anything like that. The game's going to be on in the evening on TV. Do you have any parting words for us as we head into the final leg of the 2024 USL 1 season?
I just do what you can to support the boys. And I know that with the trips being to Madison and Spokane, there's not as much that you can do, but find a place to watch the game. We're actually going to do a Scruffs watch party over at our house this coming Saturday. We're going to have a big inflatable screen up in the backyard, and we'll be really confusing all the SEC football fans who are trying to figure out what game are those guys watching. They're screaming. But do what you can to watch the match and to support the boys. And then, if we are able to host that playoff game, then please come out to Regal Soccer Stadium, be a part of making some noise. You don't have to sit with us and be a part of what we're doing all the time, but listen to our songs and sing along with us and help us to build the atmosphere, because we really want this to be a stadium-wide vibe. We want everybody singing. We want to make as much noise as we can to support the voice. So please be a part of that and buy season tickets in that new stadium. It's going to be incredible next year. Buy your season tickets. Come be a part of history. We talked about how we're making history. We're the start of this historical process. Come be a part of it because it's really fun.
Yeah. So thank you, Tim. That is your capo for the Scruffs. I know that they've got big plans ahead for the Old City Stadium. I think we're all excited for the Old City Stadium. If you haven't seen the images, it's coming along great. We'll also link to some of that in our show notes, and you can see what the layout's going to look like. The season tickets are available. There's lots of options. There's not currently, I really love the mound option at Regal Soccer Stadium. I think I'm really going to miss that, watching it with my kids, letting them run around. I think there have been some people advocating for the outfield to be turned into like a general rowdiness area. I don't know that that's going to happen. But I'm super pumped to see what they've got. If you want to know more about the Scruffs, we will link to all of their information, how you can join, how you can get involved. If you do join, get a bunch of cool perks. I've got my little keychains. I've got 2 of my little keychains, and I put them on my car keys. So it gives me an opportunity to talk about the organization. But yeah, exciting stuff ahead. And we are not over the hump yet. There's still a lot more to go. For all of you listening, Saturday is a great opportunity to watch Tennessee beat the snot out of Alabama. And then by the time that game's over, Knox is kicking off, and they can have our good friends, the Flamingos, Forward Madison. We love that club. But when it's do or die, there's only one victor, and that's got to be us. So thanks, Tim, for joining us. Hope you have a great rest of the week. Get an opportunity to rest your voice, heal from all that hailstone damage. And Patty, I'm sending this back over to you. You can take it from here.
That's all we got for you today on the Knox Soccer Podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, be sure to sign up for our newsletter at knoxsoccerpodcast.com. Huge thanks to Markman Jewelers for sponsoring the podcast. Be sure to show them some love. And with that, we'll see you in the stands.